I actually signed for the 10 years. And here I am today because they rejected the deal.
As in regards to the guards, man, did you ever have any issues with the COs in prison? Or did it go the other way? You had nothing but favor for them?
See, you know, me, bro, I move smooth, you know, and I'm very respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And with people used to tell me in prison all the time, the officers, like, they used to be like, you ever heard the old saying, Govan, don't judge a book by its cover? And I'd be like, yeah, and they'd be like if you just look at you, you would think you're very disrespectful, rude. And when they see that I'm the total opposite, they just tend to, you know, take liking to me. So I never had any issue that I had. If I had an issue with staff, it's because they just was a rotten motherfucker, you know, just dirty. You know, might have had a bad day at home with their girl or their husband and just bring it to work. Because I ain't gonna never disrespect staff, you know, for no reason. So for the most part, you know, I was cool. You know, I used to, you know, I was in finesse mode. You know, I was getting free world food from some of the women officers. So disrespecting for what?
Come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and they bring, every time they cook a husband a meal, they make me one.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. So, you know, I wasn't on nothing disrespectful.
You ever spark something with a female officer? You ever spark anything? Anything ever come on one of them?
You know, you say, you know, you got so many women counselors and women officers and staff, and you know, when you doing little stretches or whatever, you know, you a man, so you know you can see a woman or woman officer, you know, you down there get to undressing her with your eyes, you know. You been locked up for a minute. You know, they ain't had no pussy since Martin Luther King got shot. So, you know, and it was a few women officers, you know, that was cool, down to earth, and, you know, might say little things here and there or whatever, but as far as anything sexual, nothing never happened. I never crossed that line because, for one, my beards wasn't that long for me to take that risk, you know, because I done seen situations where some of the women officers will flirt with the homeboys and niggas, and a nigga jump out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you jump out there, she'll knock his head off. You know, you be thinking it's something like she on that, and then you jump the gun and she don't be on that and get your ass sent to Honolulu. You know, because all she got to do is report it. SIS coming to get you. And they gonna put your ass on one of them con airplanes, and your family ain't gonna hear from you, damn it, till next year.
Damn. From what you saw, if there was some game to give somebody as far as how to slowly approach, like what would you say as far as just?
You know, and that's a great question because it does happen. You know, one of the homies he had a baby in jail by one of the female officers. You know, she got fired and she even got arrested.
Damn.
But she stood on business, and so my advice would be, you know, if you think you got you something, if you think you done bumped into a female officer that like you, you know, before you jump out there, I would say if it was me, you know, let her make the first move. You know, if you let her she make the first move, then you know you got her. You know, if your beard ain't that long, if you ain't got nothing but a tray or a 5 or something, you know, ain't ride that shit out. You know, unless she make the first move, man, you better go get what we call some fiend pictures, you know, or some magazines or something. Put that violation up and go in there and go to work, jack off, you know, before you jump out there, because, you know, that's an extra charge.
Yeah.
If they report it. So I never jumped out there like that, but, you know, I done did little flirtatious remarks or whatever, and, you know, and get a smile or something back, but I ain't never crossed that line, though.
Were you in there during the cell phone era? Or did you serve time during that time? As far as
facts. Yeah, facts. Yeah, I don't. I think I fucked off probably about 7,500 on cell phone.
Goddamn. It seems like cell phones, man, is worse than having like drugs in prison. The way they make it seem, like having an active cell phone.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You know, because the spot I was at, phones had became so common. You know, you get caught with a phone, you know, you might go to the shoe for 30 days or something. They let you back out, you know. Your ass get caught with some drugs, it's a new charge, and they're gonna ship you.
Damn.
You know, so now it's a big difference. It's totally different. Like at one point, phones were so bad they tried to start giving you free world charges for the phones, but the judges and stuff start getting on the BOP, Bureau of Prison, telling them, look, y'all need to handle that shit in-house. You know, that shit too petty. We got too much shit going on, you know. So nah, if you get, like right now, I got a homeboy, he just got out the shoe for a phone, and we just bought him another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he good.
Someone had told me they look at it as like almost like an escape attempt, like, you know, especially federal. Like, they look at it like you being able to communicate with the free world. That's like almost like you attempting to escape.
You know, I done heard that narrative before, and maybe on some yards or whatever, they might enforce it that way. But every yard that I done been on, and especially like right now, having a cell phone, of course they not gonna just look over it. But comparing getting caught with a cell phone versus some cocaine or heroin or fentanyl, nah, that shit like night and day.
Yeah. Now going back to your last bit, and hopefully this is your last bit ever touching the inside jail. You know, you did those 10 months, you got found not guilty, but if you don't mind explaining the thought process of a plea deal, because what happens for a lot of people don't know was, you know, whenever you do go to jail and, you know, for the state not to go to trial, because the trial costs money for the state or for the feds or whoever wants to do it, it costs money. So they offer plea deals to hopefully satisfy all parties and say, all right, we're just going to save some money here.
Try to resolve the case without it going to trial.
Without it going to trial. Take us through the process as far as how a plea deal works, as far as how quickly do they come? Do you take the first one? Are you supposed to go back and forth regarding plea deals?
No, you never take the first deal unless it's it's a sweetheart deal and it ain't gonna get no better. But if you line up 10 different situations, 9 of them, you never take the first offer because it's always gonna get better. It's just like with my situation. I think the first offer was 25.
When did they come in with that offer? How long did it take them to come with that?
They came with that. Well, they didn't start throwing offers around until right before Straight Drop went to trial. Mm-hmm. And so they started throwing offers around and we was just sending, sometimes they would even shoot an offer and it'd be so ridiculous, Manny wouldn't even bother even reaching out to me about it because he knew we wasn't taking it. And so, it's like a bluff. It's like playing chess. They'll throw something out there hoping you bite. We didn't. They came down from 25 to 20. They went from 20 to 15. And, and the day of trial, when we were about to go, we were negotiating, and the head elected DA thought it was in the state's best interest and my best interest, which is all parties to sign for 10 years. They were they had a doubt and they knew it wasn't a slam dunk case. So they were willing to go, but they knew we had a great case as well. So, but the family didn't see it that way. So I actually signed for the 10 years, and here I am today because they rejected the deal and forced me into trial, and I won.
Who rejects it?
The family of young Dolph.
Man, so on the day of the trial, they're still like, all right, let's nip this in the bud. Let's do the deal.
Yeah.
The deal was decent enough for you to say, all right, let's.
Yeah, it was, I guess you could use that phrase, decent enough. I felt I wanted an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, but they wouldn't go for it. So 10, he said the 10 was the lowest he could do. So when I reached out, to the people that mattered, and everybody felt like it wasn't worth the gamble or me losing the rest of my life.
Yeah, because what were you facing? Did they say what was the max?
If I lost in trial, I was facing automatic life. So everybody just felt like it wasn't worth it, even though I had a great shot. So,
at what age were you going into it?
Trial?
Yeah,
I was 45.
Oh yeah, 45. That's that's like a death sentence.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was 45. So, and life in Memphis, Tennessee is 51. You have to do 51 years before you even eligible for parole. So we just felt like, me going and knock out another 4 years or whatever at the penal farm, or, shit, if you can't do that, man, then you don't need to be in the streets. You don't need to be in the game, So I just conditioned my mind, said, let me go and knock this shit out. So I signed the paperwork, but they rejected it.
Meaning they
told the DA that they wasn't in agreement with 10 years. They said it was too light of a sentence for what I was being charged with. And they said no. And for whatever reason, the DA, and he didn't have to honor, what they were saying. He could have easily said, look,
this is what we're doing.
This is a bad case, and we gonna go ahead and do this 10 years. He was catering to the family for whatever reason. Get them, that's above my pay grade. So but I'm glad it worked out, and because if not, I'll probably be a month in right now.
You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be sitting right here.
Yeah.